Hello. 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 I don't know if it's getting. Can you hear this though? Like when Hello, hello, hello. No, though, right? Alright, we'll see. Did you hear that? You didn't hear anything? Fudge. Alright.
I can hear you. I hear you.
You heard me or?
You.
No. I want you to hear the presentation.
It's not starting.
No, but webinar voice says the presentation will be starting in a few minutes, every few minutes. You know what I could do? What if I did this? I wish I could have from here.
The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line.
I'm going to send you a link. Can you open it?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think so.
Right now.
And do this super fast. The ideal. I just want to know if the sound, because I literally have my
You want to see the sound?
I have my headphones on
I can
top.
hear it.
I have my headphones on my microphone on my laptop. So
The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line.
yeah. Can you hear it though?
Hear you?
Yeah, can you hear the presentation? They're not talking right now, I'll tell you when they're
I
talking.
can hear it. It's like some lady
Oh, you can hear it?
saying, "Please remain on the line."
Yeah.
Nice job, bro.
Let's see if it.
Yeah, I'll you want to pull it up again?
Can you put your. Oh, wait. Why is that? It's delayed. That's not what's on.
The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line.
It's a little lag. Is it like crazy?
Oh, I mean, it should be the presentation.
Here.
Oh, it's starting?
Yeah. The next one.
There we go. Yeah, so it's a few seconds behind and you can't hear it, so.
It's fine.
Oh,
Dude,
it's sick.
No one's gonna.
It's a little redneck, and there is ways to do it officially, but.
We met. You see them? Nice. You going anytime soon? You're gonna go anytime soon? Again? You gonna pass? Oh.
The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line.
It is not cheap.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Backus, CEO of CPC Strategy, and we're going to try to get started right now on the dot. So hopefully everyone's on time. We'll give a little bit of time for the stragglers to come in. but it's day 2 of our Amazon Virtual Summit. We're really excited for all of you who were able to listen to yesterday's webinar with Pat from our team. The goal with Pat's webinar was to kind of create a foundation for your Amazon knowledge. And today with Paul and tomorrow with Shmuley, the goal is to get into a little bit more detail on some of the technical sides of Amazon. And so with that being said, I just want to do a quick intro on CPC Strategy. This is our company. We were founded in 2007 with myself and my 3 business partners. We currently have over 250 active retail clients, top 50 fastest growing company in San Diego, 3 years running. We're one of 10 official Google Shopping partners. And yesterday, I told you that we were excited to announce our new website at cpcstrategy.com. And I asked for feedback. Again, today, I'm asking for feedback on our new site. You can email me directly. It's rick@cpcstrategy.com. I got some great feedback yesterday on the site. Some compliments, some suggestions. And so all feedback is good feedback. Please let me know if you like our new site, if you think that we could explain our value proposition more clearly. We put probably about 6 months into building it. We're extremely excited to launch it, but your feedback is definitely appreciated. A little bit of webinar housekeeping. The sessions will be recorded. All 3 of the webinars will be recorded and emailed to you next week. And John from our marketing team will be joining us again today. Paul and myself will be doing a Q&A at the end of the webinar. And so please submit your questions in the chat box on GoToWebinar throughout the webinar. John will be fielding those questions, and then he'll join us for a Q&A once Paul's presentation is done. Just a reminder that this is the 2nd day of a 3-day virtual summit. Tomorrow at the same time, we're going to have Shmuley join us from FeedVisor to go into more detail around how to win the Amazon Buy Box. But today, we're having Paul Johnson join us from Sellerlabs. Paul is the co-founder of Sellerlabs, which he co-founded in 2013. He has over 8 years of experience within e-commerce. Sellerlabs is actually the company that brings you 3 products that we use at CPC Strategy: Feedback Genius, Search Rank, and Scope, which I'm sure Paul will refer to a little bit on the webinar today. And so with that being said, I guess real quick, just the course overview for Paul's session. He's gonna talk about why Amazon search matters. He's gonna do a deep dive into the
because I don't know how well it works.
Listings for better search placement and conversions. He'll discuss 5 key focus points to improve your product's search position, and then he will participate on the Q&A with John. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Paul. I'm changing the presenter right now. You should get an invite from me, and you should be able to take over control.
All right, thank you, Rick.
Okay.
Let me go ahead.
We can see your screen now, Paul.
Awesome, perfect. We'll just go back here.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so as Rick said, I'm Paul Johnson, co-founder of Sellerlabs. I've been doing e-commerce for a while. Not quite as good looking as Pat, but hopefully just as smart as he is. And let me just tell you guys a little bit about Sellerlabs. We have thousands of merchants that we work with. We work with pulling in millions of orders for them for Feedback Genius and sending out messages. And last year, our Amazon third-party merchants that we worked with did over $1 billion in sales on Amazon.com. So that gives us a pretty good view into Amazon Marketplace and what works and what doesn't. And we work with lots of people every day, and we always try to take the bits and pieces that we learn and teach others and show everybody how to do things in a better way. So this presentation is focused on, if you were in yesterday's talk, it was about discoverability, I guess, not necessarily the buyability, although we do talk about that a little bit, but more on the discoverability, how to get your brands to show. So if you own your own brand, if you're an OEM or work for a company that has their own brand, we are the this is definitely a talk for you. This is definitely a presentation for you. If you are an exclusive reseller or you want to become an exclusive reseller of a product, then this is definitely a talk for you as well. And if you're interested in launching your own brand in the future, this is also going to be really relevant to you. So hopefully that pretty much encompasses everyone that sells on Amazon. If you're not doing exclusives, at least you should probably be looking for that opportunity. And so hopefully there'll be something in there for everyone. So first of all, I want to talk about why Amazon really matters. And so this is this visual here kind of, I'm going to walk through some of the data here, where it came from. This comes from the top 500 guide that's produced by Internet Retailer, the people who do the large Internet Retailer conference. Amazon first-party sales accounted for $60 billion, almost $61 billion. This is 2013 data. They haven't updated 2014 yet. And my estimate is that Amazon third-party sales were $57.91 billion. And I got that number by looking at the commission rate that Amazon collected, which was over $6 billion, and then did some basic algebra and came to the formula of 57.91. That might not be perfect, but it's definitely in the ballpark of how large Amazon third-party sales are. The next largest retailer, online retailer, is Apple at 18.3 billion, and then we step down to Staples at 10.4, then Walmart at 10, Sears at 4.9, and everyone else at $100 billion in the U.S. So Amazon, if you combine Amazon first-party and third-party sales, they account for a huge chunk of all of the retail online sales in the United States. So if you're not optimizing on Amazon and you're not paying attention to Amazon, you're really missing out. And Amazon third-party sales are slowly overtaking Amazon first-party sales. So there's a huge opportunity there. Also, just if you look at product searches in general, Amazon product searches account for nearly 3 times as many searches as Google does. So by just by that number alone, it's a quite amazing number. This is actually some data that was in New York Times, and I think it's even growing by now. So people are going to Amazon to discover products. So here's some statistics here. 48% of all online purchases, or I'm sorry, 48% of all purchases are made or influenced by digital decisions. So that's $1.5 trillion are now influenced by digital decisions. And REI reports that 75% of their shoppers actually visit their website before they come in store to make a purchase. So what this means is that, and it's fairly obvious, I think most of us understand this, that millions of consumers are starting their product searches on Amazon, and a lot of times they're actually buying on Amazon and converting there, but they're also doing research for their buying decisions elsewhere. You might be at Best Buy looking for a product and you're searching for something, and then you end up buying, you go to Amazon and you do a price comparison, but you read the content and the reviews there. So this is really true for anyone who has their own brand. If you have your own brand and you're not optimizing Amazon, you're missing out on millions of eyeballs on your product, and those reviews and that content really drives people's decisions on all channels, whether it's another e-commerce channel or on retail. So if we think about Amazon like a retail store, think about Amazon like Walmart. Amazon allows us to place our products in their catalog without really very many restrictions. I mean, they have some gated categories and things like that prevent you from going right into their catalog. But for the most part, you can create a product and put it on Amazon and get it into the catalog pretty easily. And that's basically like sticking your product in a Walmart store, in every Walmart store across the country. But what's really powerful is, if you think about Amazon as a Walmart store, it'd be the largest Walmart in the world. And it would be, millions and millions and millions of square feet. And most shoppers never make it to the back of the store. So what you want to do is actually bring your product to the front of the retail store where everyone can see it. And by doing that, you are bringing all these eyeballs. It's like having a beautiful display in Walmart. You're bringing all these eyeballs to your products. And that's what really understanding the discoverability factors and bringing your product to the front of Amazon search can do for you. It's like having your product in front of millions of people at every Walmart across the world. So Amazon has a unique challenge because, according to the Amazon Whisper, there's 1 billion products on Amazon, and so they have to somehow show you these billion products and organize them in a relevant way. And I think about that as a software engineer and try to understand how I would approach that problem. And it really starts to give some insights into what Amazon's challenges are and possibly how they work in some ways. So if you start to pay attention and you just do a search on Amazon and you scroll down to the bottom of the search results, there will be a little symbol that says powered by A9 on every single search result. So we noticed that one day, and also if you've read the Everything Story, they talk about it in the book as well. But we noticed that one day, and if you click through to that thing, it takes you to a9.com, and it will show you a page that's a separate spin-off company. A9 actually spun off from Amazon several years ago when Amazon was trying to get more into tech and not just be a retailer. And they created another company in Silicon Valley, and they went and hired a bunch of PhDs. And now A9 has several hundred people all over the world. But it's a bunch of really smart engineers, and they're working on Amazon search, and they're trying to make it better. They actually were trying to compete with Google at one point in time too, but now they're mainly focused on Amazon.com search and also powering search for other websites. Amazon actually offers A9 search tools basically under their AWS offerings. And so any software company can actually use Amazon Cloud Search, which is basically the same search that's implemented on Amazon.com. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, and it's definitely not tuned the same way that Amazon.com search is, but it's the same underlying engine and technology that's powering Amazon.com. And so kind of understanding that, I got really interested. And so we started a project where we pushed a bunch of data into A9 or Cloud Search and started playing with it and messing with the algorithms there and trying to tweak it. And so by default, if you take an instance of Cloud Search and you shove a bunch of data in there, you end up getting, and you run a search on there, you end up getting results that just scan the records for the most occurrences of the keyword that you're searching for. So if you're searching for the word water, you're just going to get the score will be the score for the product that has the most occurrences of the word water. But what you can do is actually tweak your algorithms in there to look at other factors besides just the occurrence. You can actually look at a rank or a rating or reviews or any other type of data to start to build out a more accurate picture of what Amazon search looks like. Because obviously Amazon doesn't just want to show the most keyword stuffed listing for a water bottle, for example. They want to show something that actually is going to make them money. Amazon has a really good indicator of what people want to buy or what they think is relevant based on previous sales. And so that is a huge indicator into Amazon's search algorithm, is just by looking at that and kind of reverse engineering what they've done. And so we've learned a lot about Amazon search by looking at Cloud Search and kind of playing with it and seeing how it works. We can also learn a lot from Amazon just by reading Amazon.com and reading Seller Central. And they go through several things there as well. So I'm just going to kind of break a cardinal rule of presentations and read a little bit from my slides just so we can go through this together. So the first thing that Amazon says about search is the primary way that customers locate products. And that's actually a very telling thing. It lets us know that customers don't necessarily browse through catalogs or shop on Amazon. They go to Amazon with a product that they're interested in, a keyword that they're interested in, and they search on it. And then Amazon matches those searches against the listings, and then they serve up the most relevant results. So Amazon then tells us that well-chosen keywords increase a product's visibility. and that you can increase your page views by just adjusting your keywords with additional phrases or tweaking them based on your product. And so they then go on to tell us that the factors that determine the search results are the price, availability, selection, and sales. And if I had the website in front of me right now, I'll try to paraphrase from memory, but it basically says, in general, as your sales increase, so will the discoverability of your product. So that kind of presents a chicken and egg problem, especially for new products, and somebody has to drive sales to increase placement. But we'll talk about some factors and how you can do that. So now we're really starting to get somewhere, and Vince Vaughn agrees that we're really starting to make some progress, because we've kind of looked at Amazon's cloud search, and then we've also looked at what they've told us, and then based on some of our own experiences and experiments, we start to get some key indicators of success. And I really kind of want to boil those down into two main points. The two key factors that really matter are relevance and conversions. So by relevance, I mean everything except for conversions. And so let's talk about that in more detail and kind of understand what that means. So what we've done is we've broken down every single factor that we can think of, and we have a relevance impact, a search relevance impact, and a conversion rate impact. And so the idea is, how much can we increase our conversion rate based on these things, and how much can we increase our search relevance? And so the title we're saying is a high relevance impact. So it's very important. You should definitely pay attention to your title. And it actually is a critical conversion rate impact, because you are going to get a lot more conversions off of a really well-crafted title. But it also, the keywords in your title also matter a lot as well. And so if you go into Amazon.com, if you've never done this before, you can edit your listings, and your product name is right here where you put in your titles. You can also upload these with feeds and everything else. Just wanted to kind of show a screenshot of that. It's pretty easy to get to, but that's where we kind of impact our title there and edit things. So the next thing that is really important is, for relevance, is your search terms. It's a very high important factor. It's not, it doesn't matter for conversion rate, because nobody sees your search terms. None of your shoppers see your search terms, but it will help you get more discoverability on the platform and in search. And so when you're creating your listing, there's a section in there called keywords, where you can carefully choose keywords and put them into your listing there. So that's what that is. Your images actually do have a low impact on your search relevance. Amazon, if you read their job postings on A9, they talk a lot about kind of engineers that have image recognition type abilities. So they have algorithms that actually detect the quality of an image. So Amazon does have a way to kind of tweak their algorithm slightly to determine if images matter in relevance, but they highly, or even I would even say they're critical for your conversion rate. If you have really good images, you're going to convert more, and that's going to help you in your search. Your price, we've actually seen that price does have an impact on search, and I don't mean just trying to win the buy box. I mean, if there's two water bottles and they're priced differently, if all things being equal, the lower priced item will usually actually rise to the top, because Amazon's always looking out for their customer. So we'll give that a medium rating. And then the conversion rate impact on price is pretty high, obviously. It's probably somewhere between high and critical, because obviously people like to buy stuff that's a good deal. So that's kind of a no-brainer. Your fulfillment channel is both, we've rated those both medium impact for search relevance and conversion rate. Obviously it makes a lot of sense. Amazon wants to show stuff that's in FBA more than they want to show stuff that's merchant fulfilled. And also people want to buy stuff that's in FBA. So it's going to help you convert more. So those are both medium rankings. And your description is also medium for your search relevance and your conversion rate. Basically, people are, Amazon's going to harvest those keywords in your descriptions, so it matters. It's not as important as a title or the keyword you give, and people are going to read your description. So write good copy, and that should matter. So bullets, I would say that the search relevant impact for bullets is debatable. I haven't done it. We have the jury's still out on that one. We haven't done enough research to give a good rating on that yet. There's conflicting data, and so that's one of the things that we're still looking forward to kind of discovering. But the conversion rate impact is definitely high because people will read your bullets before they read your description. If you click on an Amazon listing, it shows up right there. Your bullets are right there below the title. A lot of people don't even scroll down to read the description. So definitely important for conversion rate, and the jury's still out on the search relevance impact. And then reviews. I would say reviews actually do matter for search. Both the number of reviews you have and the rating that you have is important. It's highly important, and also extremely important for your conversion rate. Obviously, products that have a lot of reviews and good reviews are going to convert a lot higher than products that don't have as many reviews. So a lot of people, most of those things, actually, if we go back through it, most of those things are things that you can kind of influence yourself, directly influence. It's product data, it's the price you give, it's whether you use FBA or not. But some of the things that you really can't influence yourself are reviews. You can't go and just put a bunch of fake reviews on Amazon. It's not going to work. So you need to have some strategies to get reviews. And so these are very simple secrets, actually. They're not actually really secrets, but the title's Amazon Search Secrets, so we'll go ahead and say that they are. The first thing that you want to do is offer great customer service. I mean, that's going to get you good reviews. Just talking to your customers, making sure that they have a great product, that's going to get you great reviews. Obviously, you want to ask for reviews. So email every customer at least once. At least once you want to email every customer, whether you use an automated tool to do that or you do it manually yourself, depending on your scale. You need to email every customer at least once, ask them if they had a good experience, and if they didn't have a good experience, ask them to contact you. If they did have a good experience, ask them to leave a review. And another thing you can do is actually have some type of printed note in your packaging that asks people to leave a review, gives instructions to leave a review. A lot of people will, if you do that in the right way, a lot of people will respond to that. So conversion secrets, I would say the first one that people don't really pay attention to is their numbers. So actually looking at your business reports and understanding your numbers is really important, knowing what your conversion rate is for your products. The second thing that you really need to do is optimize your listings to convert. And probably the most obvious but possibly confusing thing is send highly converting traffic to your listings. Somehow you need to get eyeballs on your listings, but it doesn't just matter if they're, if they look at it and they don't buy it, that's not going to help you. You need people that actually look at your products and then make a purchase. And we have lots of strategies that can help you do that. So let me just move on here. Here's an example of a business report that you can get if you log into Seller Central and you go to reports and you click on detailed sales by parent item. It'll show you all of your items and then the number of sessions that you've got, the number of page views, and then the units ordered. So that's a way that you can calculate your conversion rates and see how you're doing. You can see how many eyeballs are getting to your listings, and you can also see how successful you're doing. So you can do things like run tests and say, if I change this picture, how is my conversion rate affected? And so a lot of this stuff, there's not really a magic bullet that's gonna, this type of picture always works or this copy always converts better. You can test that and use reporting to tell you what to do. So this was, I added this slide just a little while ago to the presentation based on yesterday's questions, because a lot of people are really interested in kind of how the algorithm rates recent activity. And so this is basically our experience on how Amazon's algorithm works, basically for sales rank and search rank on Amazon. And so let's say that you launch a new product on Amazon and you do a campaign with a coupon code and you distribute it out to 100 people and you get 100 sales on Amazon.com. How does that kind of campaign, how does that affect your search results? How does that help you improve in your sales rank and your search position? And how does that tail off over time? And so the way we like to look at this is if you think of Amazon sales as a timeline. So let's say that you had an ASIN that was created actually in 2008. And then we're looking at it back from today, and we're looking at the history. So the way to think about this is basically back in 2008, the sales that occurred in 2008 are going to be worth something like 1 point. Now, this is not an exact scientific mathematical equation. I'm using this to kind of demonstrate how it works. But sales back in 2008, let's say they're worth 1 point. And as you move closer to today, the sales become worth more and more. Okay, so we go to 3 points, but then sales that are happening right now today can be worth, let's say, 30 points. Now, once again, this is not an exact algorithm that we determine that it's definitely 30 points. But if you think about activity like that in Amazon, old activity still matters, but recent activity is just so much more powerful than old activity. So think about it like this. A lot of people will do campaigns and they'll boost their sales rank and their search position will increase, and so will their sales. Now, if you do it poorly, what will happen is your sales will start to do something like this. They'll spike and then they'll start to tail off, and then they'll actually go about to where they were before. And we see that all the time when people will actually launch a campaign with one of our tools, and we'll generate a lot of sales for them in a short amount of time. They'll have a huge spike, but then it kind of starts to tail off pretty fast. And the reason why that happens is because they haven't spent the time to optimize their listing. They don't have their pricing correct. They don't have their copy correct, their images correct. Because anybody will buy a product for a good deal, but then as the deal runs out, the sales will start to tail off. But if you do it correctly, what will happen is you'll see a sharp spike in sales, and then this is kind of with your campaign. And then as you end the campaign, your sales are going to tail off slowly, and they're going to plateau, but they're going to plateau at a much higher level than they were before. And so you went from selling maybe a few units a day of an ASIN to now you're selling 50 units a day of an ASIN. And so that's kind of what happens. And then if you want to make another jump, you can do another campaign and start to increase your sales that way. So that's kind of how it works overall. And now it's time for the super secret magic. So these are tricks. I wouldn't necessarily build my business around any of these things, but these are some tricks that you can do to help you if they make sense for your business. So the first one is variations or parent-children. It's probably a good idea most of the time if you have any type of product that's a variation to bundle it together if you can. And I even mean, I'm saying, like, let's say you have a water bottle. That's my token example for everything. And it comes in 5 different colors. Obviously, those should be a bundle. But let's say you have 3 different sizes as well. You can actually bundle those together as well. So you'll have the 8-ounce water bottle, the 16-ounce water bottle, the 24-ounce water bottle, and all the colors. And if you can put those all together on one listing, all of your reviews, all of your conversions, everything, all that juice is going to be into one listing. And that's going to really help you in the long run. And all that just comes together and creates a really powerful ASIN for you, a very powerful parent ASIN. So another one that some people may have heard of, and we actually invented this, and I think it's trolling around the internet everywhere, is called the super URL. And I have an example of this. I'll explain it a little bit more later, but it's a way that you can send traffic to Amazon that's going to convert, and you can actually target a specific search string in the URL. And I'll give an example of that in just a second. A couple other tricks that you can do. If you're producing a new brand, you can actually use keywords in your brand name. I wouldn't do that unless it made sense, but if it makes sense, you can do that. That might give you some keyword juice there. Also, in your part number, you can also use keywords in there and maybe get some keyword juice that way. And then in your category, if you can, it sometimes makes sense to choose a less competitive category. So if you're using the water bottle example, instead of placing it in sports and outdoors, you might place it in home and garden, and then you can do a campaign and produce a ton of sales and get maybe the first position for the water bottle in that subcategory. And that badge is going to look really good. It's going to help your conversion rates, and you can do some magic there. So those are the super secret tricks. here's what I mean by a super URL. This is where I did a search for water bottle. And if you notice up here, when you do that and click through, the keywords are actually carried through in the listing. So we have water plus bottle here. There's also a bunch of other encrypted stuff here that Amazon does to kind of make it unique. We actually have all this decoded, and we have some tools that allow you to build these types of URLs. And the jury's still out on how effective this is. I know a lot of people swear by super URLs. We've definitely seen search position increase coupled with campaigns. I don't have a really definitive case study on this yet, but we think it's a pretty cool thing. If I was Amazon, I wouldn't put these keywords in here unless I was actually going to use them. So I imagine that they're using them for conversions. Also, this is the example of an item that has a million different variations on one listing. You have all these colors and sizes right here. So another example of a pretty good using some of those tricks to their advantage there. So I think I just dumped a lot of information on everybody. I like to leave people with some action points that they can do. So here's your 5 key takeaways that I promised. The first thing that you want to do is just optimize your listings for keyword relevance. Go through your listings, go through your content, your search terms, spend time in the catalog, really making sure that you have the right keywords for your products. The second thing you want to do is actually optimize them for conversions. So while you're doing the keyword relevance, you also want to make sure that the copy, the images, and everything are going to convert well. The price, FBA, all those things. See how much you can make your products convert more. The third thing you want to do after you've done those, and it really makes sense to do those first before you start trying some of these other things, is to develop a strategy to encourage quality reviews. Obviously, your quality reviews are going to help you get more conversions, so that's really important. And then once you have some decent reviews on a product and you have everything optimized, you can start to drive highly converting traffic to your listings. We definitely have some tools that can help you do that. Love to talk to you about that. But there's lots of ways you can do those things. And then if you can, absolutely look at leveraging FBA if possible, if it makes sense. If you're going to create a fast-moving product with a really good sales rank on Amazon, then you should be leveraging FBA. It's going to help you get there faster. It's probably going to take some burden off of your fulfillment team and yourself, and it's a really great tool to use. So that's it. I'm done.
That was awesome, Paul. Thank you. If Pat is the Amazon whisperer, I think that you would have to be like the Walter White of Amazon. I don't know if you accept that as your nickname, but I think it's appropriate.
Awesome.
John is going to be joining us for the Q&A. But before he does, I have a few questions for you, Paul.
Sure.
Besides Breaking Bad references, we've talked a lot about conversion rate internally as a factor for search. It's obviously difficult with a lot of these search variables to tell if it's an actual factor that Amazon is considering or there's just a correlation there. Do you think that Amazon is tracking the product conversion rate and using that as a factor in search?
Yeah, I think that they are looking at conversion rate, definitely. I mean, it's not just the amount of sales you get, but it's actually how many. I mean, if you look at Amazon reports, we actually, this was a while ago, but we found a hack that you could do to kind of get data for almost any product on Amazon with their number of views and their conversion rates. And so that was really fun. That's not there anymore. But if you look at that, you could look at items that had a lot better search position, but they probably didn't have as much sales as some of the other ones, but they converted better. So conversion rate definitely matters. Almost if you wanted to be mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but you could send a bunch of traffic that didn't convert to your competitors' listings, and it would probably hurt them.
Yeah, that was my next question. It almost seems like negative SEO is possible if conversion rate is a factor.
Yeah, well, think about it. Amazon looks at like a session as money, right? So that's money to them, and they want to make money. And so if they're showing your product and people aren't buying it, then they're losing money. Because when people come to Amazon, they want to buy.
It's in their best interest to not show products with declining conversion rates, and that's probably a factor in after the campaign spike that you showed is not necessarily just the fact that the sale price is changing, but that the conversion rate on the page is decreasing relative to the conversion rate during that campaign. That's my second question, and then we'll turn it over to John for questions from the audience. You talked about campaigns, and we obviously saw the graphs with the huge spikes. By the way, your slides were awesome. I found the presentation to be extremely helpful. But on those graphs, when you're referring to campaigns, well, can you go into a little bit more specifics of like how you define a campaign and what you're talking about specifically?
So I'm trying not to pitch our product specifically, but I'm going to now, I guess. So these are snag shop campaigns is what I'm talking about specifically, because that's what we have experience with. So we have a product called Snag Shop that allows you to create a campaign, and we distribute promo codes, one-time use promo codes that only our shoppers can use once. And so what happens is we'll generate a ton of sales in a short amount of time for those businesses. And I've seen a lot of businesses do really well with it and maintain. They're always plateau because they're artificially increasing their sales numbers.
Yep.
But a lot of times their search position increases to a better spot. They go from like non-existent in the catalog to like in the top, couple of pages or whatever, or even on the first page. And so they start to get more exposure that way. And then if they've optimized their brands correctly, it's gonna tick back down, and their sales are gonna slow back down. But they're hopefully going to plateau at a better spot than they were before, and then they can run another campaign and bring themselves up. And so we have this one product, and I won't mention names of the product, but it was a wallet type product. And this one actually wasn't on our platform. They had a promo code that was like $4 off, and it was a general use promo code. It wasn't a one-time use promo code. And it got onto a big deals website, and it generated 1,500 sales in 24 hours for $4 off. And it went to number one in clothing, and it stayed there for several days. Before it was in number one in clothing, it was doing about 5 to 10 sales a day. Once it went to number one in clothing, it kind of was like, the 1,500 spike, and then it was like a few hundred sales, and then it went to, 200 sales, and then now it's kind of steadied out at about 60 sales per day. So it was a great thing that happened. And you have to look at doing your promos as a marketing expense. A lot of people use our stuff, and they give away products for almost free or $5 or whatever, and they lose money on them. But it's a marketing expense. They say, I'm going to allocate, $5,000 to making this product great. And you only want to do that if you have a great product. But a lot of people have really good stuff. So
that makes sense. Yeah, that was an excellent answer. I appreciate it. John, are you on the line? Do you want to go through some of the audience questions?
Yeah, really solid presentation, Paul. I thought we were going to be okay on questions, but then we've got about 30 in the last 5 minutes. So I have a couple questions queued up already. So I'm just going to fire them at you, and we'll go from there.
Sure.
Cool. So kind of along the lines of conversion rate, Cyrus had a question that a lot of people had on this webinar, but also on yesterday's webinar. So since conversion rate is such an important factor, I guess, is there any way you could provide some sort of a benchmark conversion rate to shoot for? Like, I guess, what is a good conversion rate on Amazon?
Oh gosh, I don't have data for that. That is a good question. That is a really good question. I don't have data on that, but I promise that we will do an extensive study on that, and I will publish it on our blog as to what the answer for that is right now. My default answer would be, it depends on the category and the product and where you're at in search placement and everything else. But I'd have to really crunch a lot of numbers before I just pulled a number right out of my hat on that one. But I'm writing that one down because that's going to be a blog post.
It's actually 4.8%, Paul.
Well, dang it.
Yeah. I just calculated that on the back of a napkin. I'm not being serious at all. That's one of those impossible questions to answer, but I would love to see a Sellerlabs study on it. It sounds like conversion rate could be its own topic for a webinar by itself.
I think it could be. Like, that's a tough one. It really depends. I mean, One thing you can do is look at your business reports and see, how your items are stacking up against each other. You can, if you're selling iPads and you're pricing them below MAP, you're gonna have a great conversion rate. So it really just depends. But I'll do some research on that one.
Awesome, good answer. So Brett had a question that a lot of people had confusion around, I guess. So when you mentioned putting email or putting little slips inside the packaging or sending emails to customers, there was some confusion in that Amazon's policy is that you cannot contact customers and you cannot leave slips within packaging. So I guess, what is the policy around that, and how can you reach out to customers via email?
So via email, the policy says that you cannot ask for a 5-star review or a perfect review, and you can also not bribe them for a review. You also only want to make your communications about an order. So you don't want to email somebody 6 months down the road and say, hey, can I have some reviews? But what you can say is, hey, it looks like your item was just delivered. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any problems, please contact us. If you love the product, we'd really appreciate it. If you leave a review, please click here to leave a review. So that's the simple way to do it in email. In packaging, if you have control of your own, what you cannot do is slip a review request in your FBA box. But if you have control of your packaging, you can put your website on there. You can put your request to leave a review inside the actual manufacturing packaging. So that's very much geared toward people who are doing their own brands. It's not something that you just want to slip in a box as a loose piece of paper.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because if you buy an Apple product, for example, on Amazon, it's going to have all their website stuff and how to register the warranty.
Yep.
And you can do that exact same thing if you're doing your own brand.
I have a quick follow-up question related to email specifically. It seemed like when we had a call with you guys previously, there was the option within Feedback Genius to attach PDFs to emails that were requesting reviews from customers, almost like a drip marketing campaign. Could you go into that a little bit more? Is that a common tactic to attach a PDF marketing material or something specific to that product to kind of encourage that product review and better engage the customer in a long-term relationship?
Yeah, a lot of our sellers do have multiple emails that they send. I mean, on Feedback Genius, you can fire off emails based on all kinds of different events. And so you can send an email, right before an item's delivered, 2 weeks after it's delivered. We base our emails off of delivery events. What people will often do is their first couple of emails in their message will all be about the order experience. And then after the product's delivered, they're going to send a message that's basically something along the lines of, it should be there. Here's a PDF that explains how to use our product, gives big instructions. So if you have any product that requires instructions, if you're doing supplements, you can do a lot of great content on that. If it's a dietary, you can do some exercises in there. So people leverage those all the time. You got to be careful not to be spammy with your users and with your shoppers, and make sure that every bit of content is meaningful. You don't want to just produce content for the sake of producing content. You want to produce content that actually means something. And you can do good if people. I've seen a lot of people do really, really well with good PDFs.
That's awesome. Thanks.
So, and along those lines, do you have any suggestions in terms of what a good email subject line would be?
Magical fairies just delivered your product to your door. So we actually have metrics on Feedback Genius that allow. I'm not trying to do a Feedback Genius pitch, but we actually have metrics on Feedback Genius that allow you to measure your open rates and click-through rates and all that stuff. And so what I suggest people to do is see what works best for their brand. We have a lot of people who do really personal messages and have great response with that, and it doesn't seem too corporate. And so that works really well. And then we have some people that have really professional looking messages that are, very, very beautiful and kind of corporate, and they do well with those too. It depends on your brand. And we'll definitely need to be doing a webinar on just email communications pretty soon.
Sounds good. So on one of your slides, you mentioned that it's a good tactic to send highly converting traffic to your listings. We had a bunch of people ask about, I guess, what are the strategies you could employ for that?
Yeah, I mean, what I mean by highly converting traffic is you need to send them to your listings with a promo code, pretty much. You need to make sure that they're ready to buy when they come. So whether you use our tools to do that, or you use, a Facebook list or a newsletter or whatever it is, it's, you don't want to just send people to Amazon, like buy Google ads and don't have a promo code there. You need to say, like, here's my product. It's normally $100. It's 50% off today. Here's the promo code to buy it. And that's what you want to do to get the highly converting traffic there. Don't just send eyeballs to your listings unless they're going to buy it. It's waste of your time, waste of your money.
If you create those promo codes within Amazon, let's say that they're not using like a Sellerlabs tool, is the promo code unique? Meaning, is it only available for one-time use, or is there a risk that promo code gets promoted online and 4,000 purchases are made in 5 minutes and you close your inventory?
So that happens a lot. It used to happen a lot, and it was horrible. And we were thinking of 100 different ways to mitigate that. What you do, the promo codes are actually created in Amazon, even the ones that we use. What you do is you create a promo code, and it gives you a general use promo code in Amazon. Then you have to actually go through some extra steps to create one-time use promo codes in Amazon off of the general use promo code.
Okay.
Once you have those created, they create a list. It's like a text. It's actually a zip file, and then you have to distribute those to your buyers one at a time. We have all the mechanisms to do that built in Snackshell. The other thing about Snackshell, since we're pitching the heck out of it anyway, even though I'm not trying to, is the shoppers are required to leave a review before they snag their next item. So it gets you reviews as well. It's not just about conversion.
Got it.
So anyway, yeah, the point is that you need some type of system to deliver those promo codes to your users individually, and you never ever want to share if it's like 20% off and you don't care, you can give out a general use promo code. But if you're doing a 50 or 75% off promo code, then you want to make sure that that's a one-time use promo code and that you give those out individually. And as soon as somebody puts that one-time use promo code into their cart, even if they don't buy it, it's gone. It doesn't work anymore.
Okay, that makes sense.
Cool, thank you, Paul. So another hot topic kind of on this question board is around keyword research. Obviously, Google has a keyword planner. Are there any tools you can use to, do keyword research on Amazon?
So we're working on a tool for that. It's not out yet. That's going to be in scope, actually. I'll pitch our competitors. There's a tool called Merchant Words that does that as well. I would say Merchant Words is not. So I've actually spoke with a developer from Merchant Words. He's a really nice guy. What they do is they look at Amazon Search Suggest, and they have this kind of algorithm. Their numbers are totally wrong as far as if you say if you search water bottle, it would be like 10 million results or something like that. That's just a number that he kind of guesses. What you can do is decide which term is more relevant or higher than another one, I guess, if that makes sense at all. So if water bottle is 10 million and blue water bottle is 1 million, then obviously water bottle is order of magnitudes better than blue water bottle.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I also know that running automatic campaigns on sponsored products will get you that keyword data in terms of the keywords that are actually leading to conversions. So
yes, that's true. There's some other super, super secret tricks that you can do. I'll share this one so everyone thinks. We're thinking about making a tool around this, but whatever. You can actually put a image in your listing if Amazon will allow you to it, and then you have to host it on a CloudFront or whatever, and then you can actually look at the referring referring keywords that way and see who searched like the actual refers, because they passed that like super URL thing in the thing. So I don't know how technical that is to everybody, but if you did that and Amazon didn't remove the image, then you could actually get keyword data that way as well for everybody that's searching for your product.
Yeah, just to add to John's comment, that the fact that Amazon is sharing keyword data through sponsored products is actually a pretty big deal. Like Paul said, there's, previously there was only hacks, and you had to try to come up with really technical solutions to try to learn anything about the, search volume for individual keywords on Amazon. But sponsored products, usually that data comes out through advertising. Google obviously has incentivized their advertisers a lot through data, and they try to give you as much data as possible to make wise investments. And Amazon is now doing that with sponsored products. And so if you run an automatic product campaign in sponsored products, which wasn't available until to the public until about 3 or 4 months ago, but now you can actually harvest keywords through those automatic campaigns. And then obviously once you have that keyword data, there's a ton of stuff you can do with it. Include it in your product feed, in your title, in your description. You can set up a manual campaign to target just that keyword in sponsored products. And so there's a lot of options once you get that keyword data, and the fact that Amazon is finally sharing it with you is a pretty big deal.
It is good. Did y'all's product webinar, your sponsored product webinar, have stuff about the keyword data in there?
Yeah, it does, and we have a guide on sponsored products, which I think covers the keyword data in a little bit of detail. I'm not sure how in depth we go, but it's definitely something that we're kind of like you said. It's something that's in our lab that we're experimenting with and trying to figure out exactly what to do with it, because it's really exciting now that we're getting that data. But we have to figure out, okay, the data's there. What are the insights? What's the strategy? How do we use these keywords that Amazon's now giving back to us?
That's right.
Awesome. So Paul, another kind of a hot topic here is, and you guys killed the branding around this, but super URLs. I guess, can anyone implement those? Are there tools for taking advantage of that?
So SearchRank does that. You can't really build it yourself and make it look exactly like Amazon unless you're a programmer. To get all the other stuff in there, yeah, you can shove water plus bottle in there if you want. But if you want to get the QID and all these other things in there, there's a lot of technical challenges to doing it, to making it actually work right. SearchRank is actually a tool that it's kind of like it's almost an experiment for us. So it's not beautiful, it's not pretty, but it'll definitely do super URLs for you. So I think there's a lot of people who are pretending that they know what they are. I made a YouTube video about it like a little over a year ago, kind of like, this is kind of a cool thing we discovered. And then I saw I don't even know if I called it super URLs, but I saw 100, like not 100, but I've seen like 20 people come up with stuff talking about super URLs after that. So I don't know if anybody really understands how to really make them as well as we do, honestly.
Cool. Kind of a knuckleball question here. It seems pretty cut and dry, but a lot of people asked about this. Can you have the same product listed in 2 categories? And if you have a product listing in one category and it's live, can you later switch that product's category?
This might be a question for you guys too. There's lots of times where I've seen products listed in 2 categories. I don't work directly with the product managers or the category managers as much as maybe you guys do. So I don't have a perfect answer for that one, but I know that it's possible. Maybe Rick has some insight on that, or?
Yeah, I think categorization is tricky in that you can try to push your product into the category that you want, but Amazon has the right to, and oftentimes will change the category on their own. And so there's category optimization is a very difficult thing to execute on, because you can put in the work to try to figure out exactly what category you want your product to show up in. Like Paul said, that can be a tactic to try to get a higher product ranking within that category. But Amazon's goal, they have an entire taxonomy team where their goal is to get your product in the right category. And so to be honest, we haven't had a lot of success with category optimization. Also, it's difficult to scale across thousands of products. But if you have one or two products, it's relatively easy to try out some different categories. But just keep in mind that Amazon can switch it at any time. And their goal ultimately is to have the categorization give the user the best experience. And so that doesn't always gel with your goal of trying to sell as many products in a category that may be the wrong category for that product.
Yeah, that's why I call those tricks. Even super URLs are tricks. They're kind of hacks almost. They're not something that you should use to build your entire business around, but it's one of those things that you can try to employ possibly, especially if it's a really gray area where you're like, well, I don't know if this thing belongs in this category or this category. Unless you have a huge marketing budget, sometimes it makes sense to put it in the category that's less competitive. So that's kind of the way I would never build my business around, I'm going to dominate the subcategory that's not even correct for my product. That's not a good idea. And a lot of times, I was searching a product the other day and it was in 4 different categories, and that was Amazon who put it there because it sold well in all of those categories. And they're just trying to show their shoppers products that they want to buy.
Cool. And I'm pretty sure that attendees can see each other's questions, but as soon as I threw out that categorization question, we had a couple people say, yes, you definitely can, and a couple people say, no, you definitely could not. We'll try to set the record straight on that. But moving on to the next question. So Malwina had an interesting question on, I guess, what are the advantages of setting up an Amazon storefront? I don't know if you're familiar with those, but are there